What are the key challenges that GGGI need to tackle in the current era?
What are the key challenges in the world today and what we see as the key opportunities for our member countries to take advantage of new technologies and frankly opportunities for green growth, both to address the Paris Agreement and of course to create green jobs. Now, very obvious is renewable energy. That's what we're focusing on this week. Renewable energy is becoming the cheapest form of energy. So many countries either, like Korea, have to switch from the current systems, fossil fuel based, to renewables, or our member countries in Africa where there is very low access to energy, they have an opportunity to expand. But beyond that, we work very hard on green cities or smart cities, and within that, on electric buses, for instance, on waste management, on energy efficiency. And outside cities, we work both on maintaining the forests, which is also important for climate change, as well as for the people who live in those forests, and on food security, because for many of our member countries, they are very vulnerable to climate change.
Exactly.
And it's particularly in their food systems where we have to support them. Those are the key priorities we'll keep working on from now till 2030.
I saw your interview from Arirang channel in South Korea. You mentioned deforestation and desertification as main environmental challenges in this world. What do you think of what public-private sector cooperation can manage to make technology transfer and capacity building to breed some solutions to these challenges?
Well, government is very important to have the right policies and provide what we call an enabling environment. But yes, the private sector develops new technologies, comes up with new ideas that can be implemented. But the private sector is also very important for investment.
Yes,
because the government can put together its billions from the Green Climate Fund, for instance, but we need much more money, trillions, from banks, from pension funds, and so on. So in the end, the role of the private sector is both in technology development and innovation, but also in financing the green transition that we badly need. We think that we can use the billions from development aid, from COCF, from GCF, to help attract the trillions from the private sector to finance green transition.
Philosophies on green growth. There must be some reasons that made you join this coalition-supported actions into Global Green Growth Institute. In terms of decoupling and other philosophical themes, what do you reckon mainly about green growth and what is your main argument about it?
So personally, I've been convinced that green growth, or as we've called it since the 1980s, sustainable development, is the only way to go. So I have worked on green growth for 40 years. But for the longest time, when we would go to ministries of economy or finance, they would say, sorry, we don't have time for the environment. We first have to grow the economy, like we did in Korea, very successfully. But of course, now we face the consequences, the fine dust, the air pollution mask that we have to wear now. So more recently, green growth has convinced many more ministers of finance, ministers of the economy, that actually it's in everybody's best interest to pursue an economic development approach that is straight away environmentally sustainable and socially inclusive. So these days, the ideas about sustainable development have not changed that much, but the adoption of those ideas within the government to mainstream those ideas in the national development plans of our many member countries, that has changed, and that is big progress. So I haven't changed my philosophy so much, but we have been able to convince many more partners in government, many more different sectors, that indeed sustainable development or green growth is the top priority.
As climate scouts who are taking action for the environment, we have a question to ask. What do you expect from youth toward the upcoming crisis of climate change, especially Korean?
I think the most important thing would be awareness and education.
Yeah.
And then the second part would be action. And so if I can elaborate on both of those, is there's a lot of misperception among young people about what it means to be green.
Yeah.
And being green means reduced consumption.
Yeah.
Right? Less cool fashion and more humble living and less summer vacations in Paris, and maybe more summer vacations in Gyeongju, or something like that. It means lifestyle.
Yeah, an Instagram problem.
Yes. And the second would be we can't be hypocritical.
Yeah.
It has to, it comes full circle. And then not only do we learn about it and have a full awareness of it, but then you have to actually put it into actions, right?
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts or ideas without actions it's dead.
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, you have to actually preach and act together. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I think it will be huge if young people did that.
Could you maybe briefly introduce what you do about green growth?
My name's Leila Surratt, and I'm with Partnering for Green Growth and Global Goals. And we're based in Washington, D.C., and it's a program that is trying to support the SDGs in two distinct ways. One is in partnership, so it's really a contribution towards SDG 17, and it's founded with the belief that we have to work together, and that's basically government, civil society, and the private sector need to be working together. And the other approach that we're taking in P4G is focused on creating green market opportunities. So instead of viewing development and environment are in opposition to each other and you have to sacrifice one or the other, it's the exact opposite. It's saying those both go hand in hand. And so we're looking to promote entrepreneurs, we're looking to promote new business opportunities, we're looking to promote new green market opportunities.
P4G is a new partnership initiative that emerged. Could you maybe tell us what background is it that people get together to make P4G happen in Washington, D.C.?
It was founded with original support from Denmark, and now we also have funding from the Netherlands, and it's really meant to be this global forum for promoting the SDGs in partnership. And we do three different things. One is we support concrete action, so we're looking for the best ideas, innovative ideas that can create models for change for other regions, for other entrepreneurs, for other businesses. The second thing is that we are a network of doers. So we have 12 partner countries, one of which is South Korea, another is Denmark, Netherlands. We have in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and Indonesia, and then also Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa in Africa, and then in the Latin American region we have Mexico, Colombia, and Chile. And then we also involve 6 global organizations, and that would be GGGI, C40 Cities, World Resources Institute, International Finance Corporation, and several others. And it's really this idea that working together with the countries, working together with these global organizations that are leading the way on green growth, that we're able to help to accelerate action.
I believe the UN is putting more emphasis on youth empowerment and youth climate actions. Could you maybe tell us what P4G's plan on encouraging youth to make partnership and engagement with private and public sectors?
So it's a really good point. We feel like youth and entrepreneurs are an extremely important element to helping to solve the problem. And certainly, I think about my own kids who are in their 20s now, who have a much greater ability to connect and send the message around and mobilize their social network for sustainability. So we feel like it's very important. A great opportunity is through these global convenings that we have, and so these are called the P4G Summit. So here in Seoul next year in June, the Korean government, hosted by President Moon, will be hosting the P4G Summit. And last year, Denmark hosted the P4G Summit, and a very important element of the summit is highlighting and showcasing youth involvement in entrepreneurs. And so I know that that's going to be a very important element in the 2020 summit. And so I think that identifying both leaders within sort of the youth segment as well as entrepreneurs and being able to have their engagement in the summit will be very important. And this is not just here within South Korea, but also within all our partner countries. So I was just in Colombia and speaking with the First Lady of Colombia, and she was also saying to me she wanted to see and understand how P4G can help support youth engagement and sustainability. So it's important for many of our partner countries.
Despite the partnerships, the ongoing trend of global green growth, I believe there are still some drawbacks and hurdles that take these partnerships back and rejects building partnerships and bringing multilateralism each other. What could measures or some kind of initiative be for P4G or other UN organizations to go beyond the obstacles?
We're seeing that there are many groups out there doing really innovative things, and so our model for change is working to identify what is working in a certain context, a certain country, and seeing how can we take that and accelerate action and scale up impact into other countries. And so an example of this is working on electric buses in Latin America. Santiago and Colombia are leaders in terms of making commitments towards changing over their diesel bus fleet to electric buses. Right now, there's a very there's almost not a transparent market, so it's hard to procure the buses. The financing is expensive. It's hard for cities to understand how to implement the electric buses.
Absolutely.
So through our partnership, we're helping to work on the financing. We're helping to work on the outreach to the bus manufacturers, and then technical assistance to a set of cities. We see, though, that there's interest in taking this model and using it in our partner countries in Africa and also in Southeast Asia, for example, in Indonesia. So these would be examples of how sort of the model for change that P4G has.
The local production system in which residents participated was interesting in your lecture. What are the impediments to adopting local production in Korea?
그래서 지금 정부가 그 부분에 대해서 인센티브를 줘요.
네.
그러니까 그 주민 참여형 그 단지 개발인데 주민이 10%가 참여를 하면 그 웨이팅 리스트니까 1.1% 더 줘. REC를 하나를 더 줘요.
아, 네.
저기 커요. 그 부분을 뭐 주민들이 가져가든가 하여튼 디벨로퍼들이 이제 단지 운영회사가 이제 결정해야 되는데 그거 하는데 문제가 뭐가 있냐면 거기 살고 있는 사람들이 과연 투자할 수 있는 돈이 있느냐. 그러니까 그거는 선진국에서는 돈을 이제 대출해주는 순서거든요. 이자 없이.
네.
예, 그래갖고 이익이 생기면 그걸 갚는 거야 주민들이. 아직 그거를 지금 시도를 하려고 그래요.
네. When do you expect renewable energy to meet our country's every electricity needs? And what kind of policies do you think should be implemented for reliable renewable energy and to reduce carbon emissions?
무리하게 욕심 부릴 필요 없이 2030년까지 20%가 달성이 되고 이제 2030년 얼마 안 10년밖에 안 남았잖아요.
네.
10년 안에 그 석탄이나 아니면 핵발전소나 LNG도 지금 그걸로 막 LNG 해야 된다고 막 그러는데 어차피 그건 LNG 많이 나오니까 그렇다 치고 그거에 대한 어떤 전환을 좀 생각을 해야 돼요. 그거는 기성세대보다도 젊은 세대가 더 참여를 해서 막 목소리를 높여요.
Many point point to political instability such as re-election or short tenure as a problem for the absence of long-term governance. We are in similar situation, but can we still reach the target renewable energy level by 2030?
이게 아까 얘기했듯이 그 풍력발전 단지나 아니면 솔라 단지 쪽에 주민들이 우리 풍력발전지 개발해야 된다. 태양광 발전 개발해야 된다. 이러한 목소리가 나오면 그러니까 주민들이 참여해서 우리나라가 향후에 클린 에너지 쪽으로 가야 된다. 이렇게 자꾸 나와야 되거든요. 이게 필요해. 그러니까 이거는 국민학교에서부터 시작해갖고 초, 중, 대학까지 이렇게 가야 돼요. 우리는 그걸 안 했어요. 하다못해 독일은 옛날에 그걸 했거든요. 부모가 그 애들 데리고 나와서 왜 그 풍력을 해야 되는지 태양광을 하는지 그거를 가르쳐줘요. 지금 너희들 세대를 위해서 이거를 해야 된다.
Everybody knows that renewable energy is positive for climate change, but I've often heard news that there is a real friction between people and new businesses. May I ask for a policy suggestion to solve this problem?
다른 나라 사례들을 많이 연구하고 준비를 하고 있는데 두 가지가 있을 것 같아요. 첫 번째로는 주민 참여를 시켜가지고 어떻게든 주민들도 주주가 돼서 그 사업체에 같이 참여하는 게 좋은 방법이 되는 것 같고 또 두 번째는 많이 연구 중에 계획 입지 제도라 그래가지고 사전에 이 주민들에 대한 의견도 중요하고 사실은 진짜 더 중요한 것은 송전망이나 배전망의 그 상황을 미리 사전에 연구해서 계획 입지, 플랜드 로케이션이라고 그래가지고 그거 시행하는 걸 준비를 하고 있어요, 사실은. 그래서 그 두 가지 방법이 아마 그래도 그 민원을 해결할 수 있는 현실적인 방법이 되지 않을까 생각합니다.